To me, it feels miraculous that I finish playing like however many hours of single player content in Shadowbringers, like 30, 20 something, 30, of just I am leveling, but I'm not leveling. I'm never leveling. I'm never thinking.
You're playing a story in a game.
Yeah, I'm playing through a story, and then at the end of that story, I am level 80. I've had an incredible experience. I've had 30 hours of this shit is absolutely incredible.
Actually, that's a big point because it ties into a super actually. From Stephen Williams with the recent Realm Reborn revamp that came with the Shadowbringers patches. Every friend I have who didn't like ARR made new characters and like it now. That's likely my situation because I've not done a single side quest. I'm just following the MSQ and the Archer quest line. That's all I'm doing. I mean, you think you have to follow the Archer one.
Yes, you do.
And it's been great. So I think for a whole bunch of people who maybe saw the initial ARR maybe a year or two ago, it seems like it's way, way, way better now.
Yeah, but it's the idea of this being the single player RPG, and then at the end of it, you're like, oh, here's an MMO.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, the MMO is fully featured. It has loads of community stuff. It has loads of features you can do to engage with the community. You can have your free company housing. You can get your own apartment. You can go stand in the street as a bard and play music on the guitar they recently added, or any number of instruments. You can play them yourself with your buttons, or you can plug in a program to play them for you, just play music for you. You can go do your your savage difficulty stuff, where you go get a party of 8 and go, right, this is we're going to spend a couple hours trying to progress this tonight. You can go do that. You can go do everything else an MMO can offer, essentially. But it just comes at the end of this. It comes at the end of this incredible single player experience with some of the MMO bits combat wise, like placed through, and you just turn around and go, I'm in this world.
I'm in an MMO.
Yeah, you're like, I'm in. It feels like the MMO part of the game takes place inside this incredible single player game, in a sense, instead of them being like neither hurt for the other.
Yeah,
and that's what's amazing about it for me. I feel like these two, what you kind of imagine as very distinct things, blend together perfectly, and like it's better than the sum of its parts as a result. And that's why people love it so much, I think. Completely insane.
There's a few supers I think just to make sense to cover now because people actually, it's FF stuff.
Yep.
Nino of Last Unicorn mentioned, remember to go back to key NPCs every now and then after big events. Their dialogue will update as things change in the world.
Oh yeah, of course. Because it's a single player.
That's so alien to me in a world where, normally it's like everything is siloed off in its own time zone with how the WoW stuff goes. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, the whole world, like it is a single player game in that sense of it's not like, oh, this is the old stuff, don't think about it. It's out systematized. It's just, oh yeah, here's other stuff.
Yeah, there was... there's another one from Killian Duggan who said, in FF, you actually build relationships with other characters, especially the Scions. In WoW, you have no personal stake in the NPCs. It feels lonely. Yeah. And I think that's an interesting thing, because I've spent quite a bit of time with Thrall and Jaina and, all of these people. And I'm like, my character's not really treated as one of the gang. I'm just like this sort of cold, detached champion, Mawwalker, or whatever. So, I haven't actually fully got into any of the Scion stuff yet. I think that's been teased to me, these Warriors of the Light and all that stuff. I'm interested to see what that feels like in my own character before I draw my own conclusions. But certainly, in WoW, it's felt like they've struggled a little bit in kind of ingratiating the player character to those NPCs. Now, that was never a problem in the past because you, the player, really weren't that important.
Yeah, you weren't.
You were just a band of adventurers. So it seems like there's maybe a few things to learn about there.
Yeah, whereas in FF, you start off as an adventurer, and people are like, who's this cunt? Who's this guy? What's going on here? What are you doing here? And then you're like, well, I'll give you a hand. And then there is like a plot reason you're like important. A little bit, you're blessed with
the crystal stuff. Yeah,
you're one of Heidelind's chosen, but ultimately that doesn't matter. It's not like chosen one, we need you. It's like, oh yeah, you're the strong one. Come on for the crack. And then you meet other people doing stuff because naturally you're drawn to problems. Yeah, you're strong. Other people are drawn to problems. You solve problems. You end up following along for a while, and suddenly, like, characters speak to you. Like, I'm trying to think of when it was, But there is a point in time where like characters show genuine concern for your character, and in a way that you're like, oh, this my character belongs in this world. It is one of these people.
God, that leads on to Dastil Super, who said my character in FF feels more real than my WoW character. My FF character has small decisions that she makes and people that interact with her on a personal level.
Yeah.
Which, I guess it's that sort of thing. In WoW, it's a stay a while and listen vignette.
Yeah.
That you just kind of, you stand there, you listen to two people have a conversation that are Blizzard's characters and the story Blizzard wants to tell with them. Is it perhaps more the case in FF that like a lot more of that... Actually, do you know what I think it fundamentally is, right? And this is a core thing to writing. In FF, it is basically all framed as conversations between you and people. And yes, you actually can pull off something that feels like a conversation, even though you do not speak a word. So it, like that's something that's been done in role-playing games with silent protagonists for years and years and years. It works really well in FF. Whereas for how Blizz does it, it's just kind of like quest log, click, done. And maybe an NPC will talk at you if you're lucky and you're playing the content that's like, you know, a little bit more effort's being put in. So I think doing that via, you know, conversations, I think is a pretty big thing.
There's another...
Download the immersion add-on for World of Warcraft.
There's another thing that helps that, and that is even though you don't speak for a lot of the game, you do eventually get to make dialogue choices that are specific lines that are really, really good. Cool. And really, like, they are like, you know, there are times where you're given a dialogue choice and you're just like, I need to pick what to say. Doesn't matter, but it's what your character would say. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is important, how I address this person with their problem or whatever else.
I mean, even little bits of lampshading like that work.
Yeah.
It works because it allows you to roleplay your character and have your character fit what you think it should fit, or how it should be, which is important even if that is not a big, like, you know, my gameplay will change depending on what choice I make.
Yeah, that never happens, but it doesn't matter because your character's making this choice. And there's a couple of them in Shadowbringers that, like, they winded me, like, having to choose what to say.
Shit.
But even before the dialogue choices come in, just the character's emotes going... Or in some cases when someone's like, right, let's go fight, and your character just does the default, like, I can't remember what emote it's actually called, but it's like a but then they just do that and nod, and then you're like, let's go.
Blizz can't do that. Yeah, because whenever a character in WoW does like a nod or a thumbs up, it's not just cool, do that. It's right, like it's a humongous facial animation. It's all exaggerated, and it's like it's goofy. If only they could go back in time to the character revamp of WoW and make it less goofy, because it is way too goofy for the, I think in a bunch of ways, hardcore genocide including story that they want to tell. And we have these super goofball characters. It's like, you know, look at Jaina and how she, like, her face moves. You're like, Jaina, you're a goofball. Why do you sound like that?
Why are you crying? Why are you crying while going?
Yeah, it's really awkward, it's all that crying animation they play, and it's like, man, you know, and the thing about those WoW animations is they work pretty well for an NPC emote in an MMO because you're viewing it from far away. That's why they are so exaggerated. It's something you will get when you have actors who are super used to performing in a theater context and you move them into film and TV. So in theater, they're performing to an audience that is farther away, right? So often in theater, you find that, like, actors they're really very expressive with their body. And sometimes they will then struggle with a little bit of, like, some of the subtlety and stuff that goes on when it's in TV and it's all, like, up really close. I think it's a similar thing that can kind of happen with, with WoW, right? Where it's like those emotes are designed for one context, and then we pull the camera, we put it up close. Well, now we're using the same emotes, but not in the context that the designers initially made them for. Yeah. So that's a big thing.